Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we will explore the cause and effect of just saying yes in your everyday life or in business. I will dig into topics that are not just stimulating, but will challenge you to be better in everything you do. The podcast is based on the simplicity of saying yes to opportunities you might encounter every single day. I'm your host, Jim Riley. Join me in my first series titled Blue Collar Redefined. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. My name is Jim Riley. I'm your host. Appreciate everybody tuning in this week. I'm having a great time producing these shows for you. This is actually our 22nd downloadable episode is what they call it here on Spreaker. So I'm thrilled that I've made it this far. You know, they say if you can get past 6, you've made it over the hump. Here we are at 22. If you did not get last week's show, which was part 2 of In-N-Out Burger's COO Mark Taylor talking about his 34 years with the company, circle back and get that one. If you didn't hear the first one, definitely start there, which was the week before. But that is becoming quickly our number one downloaded show. And Mark Taylor talks about his years at In-N-Out and all the things that he did over there. We still have a lot of momentum on our second show with Corey Danger, from beauty school to barbershop, capped off with his music tattoo festival. A lot of just great stuff in between. And again, I thank everybody for listening and tuning in and sharing with others what we're trying to do here. I have been enjoying the process, and I think I walk away richer with every interview. There's some great shows coming up. I interviewed Kyle Turley from the Saints, who's now with Cannabis Coalition. He's got his own product line that I'm going to introduce on that show with CBD oils. I've got Deborah from Soul Cocina in Newport Beach coming up. And then today we've got a professional basketball player, Jonte Too Tall Hall, which I will certainly introduce in a minute. But, you know, I talk a lot about in business about value for value and throwing it out there and helping others. And I've just seen through this process of podcasting and getting involved with people's lives and answering questions and being there for them, it has just brought a tremendous amount of value back to me and my world. And my number one goal when I started this and my new business with Baja United was to spend more time with my kids. And I'm half laughing as I'm recording this intro because the upside about working from home and being around the kids is I get to see them a lot. The downside is they've barged through the podcast showroom door here about 4 times, and I think I finally rid myself of them for enough time to get the show off the ground. So without further ado, I really want to set the stage a little bit for Jonte, because he literally is one of those professional basketball players that grew up in a ghetto or in a very bad area with lots of temptation around him, and he went a different route. And the struggle that he went through to become a basketball player at 5 feet 2 inches, and not just become a player, but become a professional player. By the way, he only weighs 142 pounds. You could look it up on Wikipedia, and it talks about his career and some of the teams he's played for. But to me, it's interesting to bring people like that on the show, hear their stories, apply their success and their will and desire and motivation to become successful to what I'm doing in my business. And like I said, I just walk away richer because of the interviews that I'm conducting and the people I have a chance to meet. And I hope you feel the same. Thank you again for tuning in. So let's hear from Jonte in our interview on today's show. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. My name is Jim Riley and I'm your host today. You know, I have the opportunity of meeting all kinds of great people in the market and from all different backgrounds. And today I'm particularly excited. I've got my first professional athlete on the show. And today I've got a professional basketball player. His name is Jonte Hall, and he is here via Skype telephone call. Jonte, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, Jim. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Listen, I'm really happy that we connected. David Meltzer connected us via an email, and he's always got some great people in his roster. So when he made the introduction, I couldn't wait to pick up the phone and call you. I'm so glad I did.
That's awesome, man. And by the way, I love Dave. Dave is a great guy. You know, I appreciate him for believing in me and believing in my story, you know?
Yeah, well, and that's really what excited me, is that you have such an incredible story. I want to get that out there. And as you know, the premise for this show is saying yes to things, opportunities in life, whether that's personal or professional. And what little I know about you, we spent a couple minutes on the phone already, you've had to say yes to some really great opportunities, but you've had to say no in some really tough times. And I would love for our listeners to hear a little bit about your story, maybe some of your growing up, because as I read in your bio, you grew up in the McCullough Homes Project. Could not have been easy. You said it was tough. Can you just start your story there and just give us a little bit of background, what it was like growing up and where you grew up at?
Sure, Jim. Yes, I grew up in McCullough Homes Projects. I've seen a lot at an early age. I was offered to sell drugs. I was offered to do drugs, and I said no, of course. Then I said yes to, like, you know what, I'm not going to give in. I'm going to keep striving no matter what was my environment at the time, and offer that, man, and seen a lot, and that kind of motivated me to like be great. And I started playing basketball at the age of 6. Well, I got my first basketball at the age of 6, and I took it wherever I went. And that basketball kept me motivated to, like, be a professional basketball player, of course. Yeah. And I just stayed positive. You know, I had a great support system from my mom and my dad and the rest of my family members that kept me positive, you know, growing up in the heart of Baltimore, the heart of the projects. It's so easy to get caught up if you're not strong mentally, you know, Jim. So. Yeah,
well, and give us, these are the things that you see in movies, right? Are you here on the news?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Give us a 30-second descriptive of what the projects are like and what you were faced. I mean, at 6 years old, being exposed to drugs and things like that. What does that look like to us as listeners?
It's tough. And if you're not strong mentally, and physically, it's so easy to get caught up into it. You know, if you don't have the family, the support system, the friends, or whatever it takes, man, it's like you're gonna go downhill. And like I said, at 6, I got my first basketball, and I started playing basketball at 9, and still living in that environment. And it's tough to see people shot on the ground and offered to do drugs and et cetera, man. So it was tough. It was tough growing up. So I had no choice but to say, yes, I want to do better. I want to play basketball. You know, I want to beat all odds coming out of Baltimore, you know?
Yeah. You had mentioned at 9 your uncle, Ernest Hall, was the person that motivated you to play organized basketball at 9 years old.
Yes, he was. Yes. At the time, my uncle, and Jim, I was so afraid at 9 years old to play under the whistle, which means like 5-on-5 with a referee. So my uncle, he got at me. He said, "You know what, man? You're going to play basketball. You're so talented, so you might as well play real basketball." Because I was always good. I run a neighborhood and stuff like that. So he got me to play organized basketball, and he played semi-pro. He had his opportunities to play in the NBA. He went to a couple training camps and stuff like that. But he's very known in Baltimore as a basketball legend in Baltimore.
Yeah. You talk about having to work twice as hard and at 9. How do you know at 9 years old, that you have enough skill to be a player, but enough intuition to say, I got to do some double time here to be good? I mean, what motivated, or how did you talk yourself into that?
Well, at 9, 9 was my first season, my first year playing real basketball. And then I started realizing I wasn't going to grow much between the age of 11 and 13. And I went to my mom. My mom is 4'9". She's very, very small, Jim. My dad is about 5'3.5", and my brother is about 5'3". So at the ages between 11 and 13, I realized I wasn't going to grow as much. So I saw the guys taller than me and stuff, and I said, you know what? I have to work. I have to work hard. I have to wait after practice to get my individual workouts on, and so I could be great at my size. And that was my motivation, Jim, to work on things that I lack. You know, I lack size, so I have to work. So I have to be quick to be small. So I have to have a jump shot with long distance range to be short. So everything that I lacked, Jim, I worked on it. I worked on it extremely hard every single day. every single day.
So nobody's playing around the world with you, right? Because you're getting everyone in
No,
basketball.
definitely not now. Yeah.
Just for the listeners that don't follow basketball, can you tell them what a jump shot is and how important that is to the game?
Oh, for real. Yes. And plus, being a point guard, being a shooting guard, being a forward, and maybe being a center, because these days, these guys that's tall is shooting the ball extremely well. Well, a jump shot is when you're shooting beyond, like, you have your layups, of course, off the backboard, your basic layups. Then you have your jump shots. Your jump shots is anything around the free throw line. Mm-hmm. That's a jump shot. 3-point line is, of course, a jump shot. It means you jump and you shoot. So that's a jump shot.
Okay. So you're not the guy right under the basket battling for that slam dunk, but you're on the outside. You're the dangerous one, the one nobody's paying attention to out there.
Jim, I stay away from that. I stay away from the inside. I let the big guys stay out there, and I stay from the free throw line on back.
Yeah. Give the ball to Jonte. He'll make it in every time. So
there you go.
So there you were playing organized basketball for the first time. You're honing in on your skills. Mm-hmm. At what point, you're in high school at this time, but at what point, at what point did you jump on some teams? Did you play for high school, and where did that lead you?
Mm-hmm. High school, Jim, I played, my first year I played junior varsity, of course. They wanted me to play varsity, but at the time I was only 4'11", maybe 90 pounds, soaking wet, I played junior varsity. Then at the end of junior varsity year, they pushed me up to varsity. So I played 3 years of varsity and 1 year junior varsity. And I didn't get much time my 10th grade year. So, but again, I kept working hard. I said yes to not giving up. So I hung in there, even though I didn't play that much. So my junior year, coach started saying, okay, Jonte, you can play. So again, I had to prove myself. Still to this day, I had to prove myself and say, Coach, I could play. Give me some time, give me opportunity. So he started giving me opportunity, and first part of the season of my 11th grade year, I didn't play as much, but he started to see the potential. So close to the end of the season of my junior year, I was starting. So and that carried on to my 12th grade year, where I played the whole game, Jim. I played the whole game. I averaged 15 points a game. I was top 3-point shooter on my team. I hit 73s my senior year, and I led the city. I was like top 10 in assists. So, and then after that, Jim, I was recruited by community college, CCBC Catonsville. That's in Maryland. Yeah. I didn't get much time there. Again, I had to prove myself. I could have easily gave up, Jim, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna hang in there. I've been through so much at this time, and I'm not gonna fail. So I never gave up, and I had a solid year in college. I was averaging about between 4.5 to 5 points a game, and the games I started, I put up like double figures. So
okay,
that was my community college year. Yep.
So it sounds like throughout your all the way through childhood into college now, you've had to continue to convince yourself that this is a game that you're going to play at, you're going to excel at, and you're not going to give up. What drove is it your uncle's words early on, your upbringing? What drove you to have that motivation? Because a lot of times when we face adversity year after year, eventually you start to say, well, maybe I should do something else, and you just haven't done that. What has kept you going?
You know what, Jim? That's a great question, man. What kept me going was everybody around me. No, I take that back. I'm not going to say everybody around me, but like past teammates, the guys that around the neighborhood was telling me, man, I think, you're short. I think, you're not tall enough. I mean, I don't see it happening. So I think you should focus on something else. And that kind of right there, Jim, what kept me going. I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to say, you know what? You're wrong. I'm going to strive, and I'm going to be great, and I'm going to